Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how to save NBA 2K24 MyTEAM in Season 7. In all honesty, I don't think it's that complicated, but I do think this game is in a near disastrous place. Honestly, not a near disastrous place. It is in a truly disastrous place. I think this is the worst my team has ever been as far as I can think of because of this gambling only content, and it has put the game in a really, really bad spot. And in my opinion, this Season 7 is really make or break for the future of my team for a lot of people. I mean, truly make or break. Like, I think people have already quit, a lot of people, and a lot more people are going to quit for one if nothing has changed. But I also think a lot of people who quit aren't going to come back. You know what I mean? And the longer that it goes with this type of content, the more likely more and more of those people are just not going to come back. So I truly do believe this is kind of a make or break point for my team in a lot of ways. And I'm hoping to see some change. So I just want to give my personal thoughts on how to change my team for Season 7 and how to make adjustments to fix this game mode. Because I think obviously long-term adjustments will have to be made next year. The player market was not something that they implemented as they intended. Honestly, let's be completely transparent here. I'm going to start this video by just talking about something that I haven't really talked about on this channel, but I think it's totally true. We got to a point in December, January, where every single thing that came out in the player market was, or really by December, I should say, every single big thing that was coming out in the player market that people cared about were these big sets. So the, what's it called? The Mystic set, or was that what it's called with LeBron? And then obviously the 'Tis the Season cards with Kobe, and then all the other set lock-ins, the Scottie Pippen set lock-in, those season rewinds. Adam Morrison is a set lock-in. It was a lot of set lock-ins, bigger set lock-ins and smaller set lock-ins. And while I would say a lot of people kind of complained about this, in all honesty, it was not all that challenging to play No Money Spent because the game is very rewarding to play. So as long as you were actually willing to put the work into grinding the game was very rewarding to play. And honestly, you could be pretty low money spent and have the best team in the game and be no money spent with a very, very viable team still at that point in the game. And then obviously, I think what happened is people started to make and save MT. People were sitting on 1 million, 2 million, 3 million MT, and they were just waiting for all-star content and these big content drops that were coming that obviously were going to change the meta. And I think y'all remember probably doing that. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this video did that. I was also one of those people who was just sitting on tons of MT all the time. I always had over, I mean, a million, almost a million, if not more, much of the time. Like I had a lot of MT. I was playing the game a lot, and I would say the game was actually in a decent state content-wise. Season 3 and Season 4 were actually quite good. The second half of Season 3 and then pretty much the entirety of Season 4 before the very end of it, I thought were very, very good. And then I don't even really know why or what exactly happened, but basically what happened is they come out and drop this all-star content, and that was the change of everything immediately. That ruined everything for Season 5 immediately. And then they just carried this all-star content, and well, not the all-star content, the gambling style content all through Season 7, or sorry, Season 5, I should say. I can't speak. But that made every single Friday drop in the whole season of Season 5 pretty much disastrous. And it's predatory content. We've talked about all the problems with the gambling content on this channel many times. But I do think that this is as bad as it's ever been, and I think this was basically a bid by 2K to try to desperately make money because they weren't making enough money off the player market. The player market was almost too accessible. As if that, I don't know if that sounds like a crazy thing to say, because as a community, it's not. But for them as a business model in their company, in their thought process, I think the player market was too accessible. Every card being available in the player market and for relatively reasonable prices for the most part, MT-wise, was something that created, I think, really less income than they were expecting this year off of packs, because people just didn't have to spend any sort of money on really anything, because they could just go get the cards they wanted and spend very little money and still be able to afford the majority of the cards they want and have a really, really good team. I think the last month and a half or so of content has basically just been a desperation play by 2K to try to make back that money they've lost before the end of the fiscal cycle, which apparently, from what I've been told, ended a couple days ago. It's April 2nd as I record this, and apparently the fiscal year ended at the end of March. So that aligns with the start of Season 6 and obviously the blog that we will be getting tomorrow. And my hope is that we see in tomorrow's blog or in the playbook on Thursday a shift back towards non-gambling content. That is the most important thing. In all honesty, if there is a consistent shift and a total shift back towards non-gambling content, which is what I'm hoping for, although I'm not exactly sure that's going to happen, if that were to happen, that would probably result in a certain amount of financial loss from 2K. With that being said, I do think they have kind of reached the point of starting to lose people significantly. This Bracket Busters set, it seemed like significantly less people were opening packs, significantly less people were biting. People are finally really wising up and realizing it's on us. We got to stop opening packs. Not everybody, but people are still blowing their packs, spending their money. And unfortunately, there's a portion of the community that's just going to blow their money on this game no matter what. And I don't know what. If that's you, I guess it's your money, so you can do what you want with your money at the end of the day. But there are those people out there who are just going to spend the money and have the money to spend. And you know what? If that's you, that's okay. But at the same time, I do think it's less and less people are opening packs and more people are going away from the game. So I think for them as a company, they obviously want to try to bring people back in, and putting cards back in the player market and likely dropping really good free content will do that. I am expecting over the next couple seasons an eventual shift back towards really, really good viable content and free content. Generally later in the year in my team, they kind of try to entice everybody back in for next year's game is kind of how it works. So I assume that will be happening pretty soon as well, considering we're reaching April. The game only has about, I would say, 4 more months in its true lifespan before people aren't really going to play in August. It's got April, May, June, July. This is the time where I think people start to wheel people back in, hook them back in for next year. The honest truth is, though, if they don't change this gambling content at this point, I think they're going to lose too much of the community, where I think it's going to become a I think it's going to become a long-term problem for them in terms of just their player base and the amount of money. I think it will start to kill them financially long-term as well. They need a different system for next year, is the completely honest truth. I think 2K is going to have to create a different system for next year for the way cards are bought. Either that or bring back the auction house. I mean, I don't think they're going to bring back the auction house, but it would solve the market to a certain extent in a way that I think would actually probably make 2K more money than the original player market did. Because the way the player market worked before all this gambling only content, I actually think was making 2K less money than the auction house did, which is why I think, again, they shifted away from the player market in the way that they've done all this Friday content. I think it was a desperation play because they simply weren't making enough money. The question is now, with the fiscal year over, do they have the ability to take a couple months and try to reset and try to fix things? Because they have to fix things. You have a universally pissed off community. Everybody who is tuned in to my team, the guys who are not casual players, the people who are involved in the my team community, whether it be through social media, YouTube, Twitch, whatever the case may be, I think pretty much universally pissed off at my team at this point in the game. They have to rebuild trust, and I don't think I'm ever going to trust this company. Obviously, this is a pretty garbage company. They're very scummy, but as a business, they have to try to regain trust from their community to a certain extent and bring people back. And the only way that's going to happen is by changing this system very, very quickly. So I do expect that will probably happen in the near future, especially if what I heard about their fiscal year and all that type of stuff is true. I think the gambling, all the content, in all honesty, might have been a desperation play to try to save some people's jobs. They had to meet sales quotas or something and were underperforming, and that was a desperation play to get to spend money. And I'm going to be honest, I think it probably worked. My guess is that 2K's revenue went up relatively significantly, especially during a couple specific weeks of this promo. Like the first couple weeks was really the All-Star promo, obviously, but even like the Wild West cards and the Leap Year cards, I think a lot of people kind of spent a good amount of money on that type of drop. I feel like Iconic, not as much, but Nebula specifically, even the Maestro drop with Cade and Ron Artest and those guys and Hakeem, like I feel like a lot of people have been spending a lot of money on a lot of these drops, and definitely the Nebula drop, the All-Star drop and Nebula drop especially. Those two, I know people spent a ton of money, and I don't know. I did personally with the All-Star drop. I didn't with the Nebula drop, but with the All-Star drop, I spent some money. So that was the first drop of this thing, and I do think this has made 2K a lot of money, but I hope that they have sense. This is the most important thing that has to change in order for season 6, of my team to have any sort of realistic success and bring back people back into the game and make people excited for next year. There's going to have to be change. Obviously, there's going to have to be long-term change. Next year's game is going to have to look a lot different as well, but that's a topic for a different video. But right now, the number one thing, and really the only thing I'm that concerned about. Gambling only content has to stop for season 6. That is the number one thing, the most important thing. At the same time, I do want free content to continue to be good. I think the rush content in seasons 5 was actually quite good. Not amazing. I would like some better bigs, but pretty good. And honestly, even the free rewards also pretty good. The motor rewards were not bad. So it would be really, really nice to see that continue. Hoping to see those two things continue to be not a permanent, but like a consistent theme in my team is good motor rewards and good weekly free content. As long as we get those two things and that continues and they take the gambling only out, I'll be happy for at least the time being. So I don't know. I'm frustrated. Obviously, I think a lot of people are frustrated at my team, but it's going to be interesting to see what the blog looks like tomorrow. And I just wanted to come out here and make a video on my thoughts of what can save season 6. So hope y'all did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back at more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.